All right, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Three Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. I got some like super gas for you guys today. I think like this right here, what I'm showcasing you guys, is like one of the best zombie lists like ever. I think that this zombie list does stuff that no other zombie list I've ever seen on YouTube or anywhere else does. Like this deck has so many tricks up its sleeve, it's amazing. So what I decided to do was use the Eldritch cards to their fullest potential. And truth be told, I was telling one of my best friends about this. Like, the way I saw Adamantipator's and Eldritch, I look at cards in such a different light from other people. I saw this was as indirect support for zombies. So I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, when you have Golden Lord up, these could special any zombie from like deck or hand or grave. Like, that's really, really powerful. And like, just having unsearchable Omni Negate to just give you that layer of protection. Like, wow. And looking at the Adamantipator's cards, I was like, wow, these special any level 4 or lower rock, like, dude, you could play that in the actual Kawaki Mero rock stun build. Like, oh, I was just looking at them in a different light. The same way I look at like what's that archetype? Tri-Brigade. They're like indirect, like Wing Beast, Beast Warrior, Beast type support for like sub archetypes. So like I'm using the Eldritch to their fullest potential, and what this deck is able to do, not only can I like set up obviously like Arclight, Belerdrock, and the ability to also summon Shun Saga, potentially popping 3 cards, Omni Negate plus Floodgate. Belerdrock being 2 interruptions in itself. You can also use IP to trigger Belerdrock. Like you have super duper crazy locks in this deck. Something that I think almost every single zombie player sleeps on, because I think a lot of zombie players think it's like blasphemy or something to play Eldritch cards in zombie, but I think this is the perfect way to play Eldritch is a zombie deck initially. And one of the best interactions that this deck has with Zombie World is the fact that Sanguine and White Destiny can summon any zombie, right? And because Zombie World makes all monsters on the field in the grave zombie, guess what? These can special any monster. So like when you're playing Invoked Eldritch, like you can use these cards, like, because my friend plays like Zombie World and like he uses Kaliga, and I was telling him about using these cards to summon his Invoke Kaliga back because of Zombie World. So this deck also can set up a window lock by using Verde to send Instant Fusion, let Winda die, and then bring her back off of Sanguine or White. Other cool interactions are like, you know, bringing back Formula Synchron to go into Shoot Saga. That's how I can like get away with playing one. Like a really, really cool thing that you can do too is like bring access code back and just banish more links. Like he doesn't get his effect to gain again, but like if you can't kill, you could just bring him back. You can also make, like, this is one of my favorite monsters in the zombie archetype. Like, I chose this over Appaloosa, truth be told. I know Appaloosa kind of is a little bit better, but I think this card is superior because it has more reusability and it's a lot harder to play around. Like, with Appaloosa, you can just, like, force it out pretty easily and attack over it. But with her, her effect triggers twice per turn, and she basically gets 2 monster negates, and you also get to force them out by summoning monsters from your graveyard, which is like really broken. She's super slept on, and you can recycle her off of White and Scarlet. So like this deck, like I said, has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. It sets up multiple negates and Omni negates at that, like Savage, Herald, the Window Lock. You can play Super Poly with Zombie World, Super Poly any board. You have the Rivalry of the Warlord locks with Zombie World. That's a win condition. You have so many different locks that are really, really powerful against the meta that are almost unbeatable given the circumstances, especially when you have cards like Golden Land Forever, Savage, and Arclight that stop it, and you have cards like Yukiona and then Belerdrock that just prevent your opponent from like trying to use monster effects to out it. And like you already have hand traps in this deck, and the interaction of Nibiru, activate Nibiru, chain a White or a Scarlet, and now basically you keep Nibiru in your hand. It resolves as much as possible, but you keep it in your hand and you can use it again because you can't summon it, but it still has to resolve as much as possible. There's so many interactions in this deck that make just the way I built it and all the cards I use, they're so multi-purpose and it's such a high ceiling. It's such a really, really powerful deck, truth be told. I'm going to get into this, but I really want to share all that with you guys. Some people might question my ratios, but I had built this deck to have multiple win conditions and backup plans, and also to facilitate locks like multiple times, like the Window Lock, the Rivalry, Zombie World Lock, the Yukiona loop, also the like, which is like super duper busted. Also, the fact that you can loop Soon Saga, because all it has to do is be special summon, and you still have like boss monsters like Beledrock and Golden Lord, so you don't even need your extra deck to go for the W with this deck. Like, it's just so powerful. This deck has so much like going for it. I think it's a great call for the meta. I think it's really strong against hand loop decks because Herald of the Arclight don't banish spell or traps. So like your opponent will only be able to touch your monsters like that, and all your spells or traps flow. I think this deck is just crazy good. Like, it doesn't lose a Buster Lock. You have a chance against Infernoble. I already made like 9 hand traps, and at that, like, they have synergy like Gamma, etc. But I'm gonna get into the list. I just really think, again, this deck is really powerful. You should try it out. This is my list. I didn't get the ideas from anybody. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we're playing one Beledrock. Beledrock is an insanely powerful boss monster. Like, truth be told, this card's amazing. Like, I mean, obviously Zombie World, it just gets like such a powerful effect. But even without Zombie World, because like you will have zombies that like actually activate their effects, you can get one of his effects like to banish. But his strongest effect is when he's up with Zombie World, he just becomes a negator, 2 interruptions in 1 card, and he floats. Super duper strong card. It's really good for your grind game. This card's very powerful, and it's annoying. And it has a targeting, a non-targeting removal, which is also super important. Then we have 2 Golden Lords. Like, even though you play 2, you have a lot of ways to access this card, including Solitaire and Unizombie if you really needed to do that. But most of the time, you use these cards to actually like combo off. And then we play the Glow Up Bloom. You mostly resolve it just to get Beledrock, but this is another way that you access Lord. So by playing the zombie cards, not only, so the thing with the zombie cards and the Ellis cards is they give you more utility for both aspects. The zombie cards help you to access Golden Lord more, and Golden Lord's his spells and traps allow you to access your zombies more. So you get a higher ceiling and more consistency in the combination of the cards. So there's a really strong correlation between the two like, not really archetypes, but engines, so to speak. I think they supplement and complement each other very well, and give this deck a way higher ceiling and better consistency. Overall, just a stronger deck, and it has a follow-up plan. Like, you always have the backup plan of falling back on your Eldritch cards if your opponent stops your main combo. The one Mizuki, I know that you have good recovery off of Sanguine and White, and I'll get to why I play 3, because people are just going to be like, oh, you're supposed to play 1, says who? Like, what, you're just doing what everybody does? But like, I have a strong reason for playing 3, but you still need Mizuki, like, just so that you can have access to it through your main combo, because sometimes you have to use Mizuki to bring back Formula when you want to go for the play to synchro with Soon Saga and Beledrock. We'll synchro with Beledrock and Formula into Soon Saga, because that's really good against other control decks like Dogmatica, like trap decks like Ultrageist, etc. And it's really devastating against combo decks when you catch them out of nowhere with the pop for 3. That's just really broken, and it recycles your extra deck, which is like super cool. So like, Mizuki is very important. One Banshee, you actually don't ever have to access it off of Unizombie or Solitaire if you don't want to. You don't even need to access off Foolish Burial. When you have, like, this is the another thing that's really important about this list. Getting Lord on field accomplishes so many things. It allows you to now summon Winda because of Zombie World. She's a zombie now, and she's properly summoned. Because Instant Fusion does actually, you know, like, special summon it, and like, it gets destroyed. But if you read it in the text, it says this is treated as a fusion summon. Like, just to clarify that for anybody trying to comment that. But like, also, like, once Lord is up, your White and your Sanguine can just do way more, because like, that gives them their best effects. Even without Zombie World, you can still summon Necro World Banshee directly from your deck and get access to your Zombie World, which is amazing. And like, because if you have like Beledrock but you still couldn't get access to Zombie World for whatever reason, then you just activate Sanguine in draw phase. Summon Banshee, activate her effect, and then when I hit standby, you can just you'll already have Zombie World up. So like, you can access her in so many different ways, which again, the Eldritch cards actually help you to get access to Zombie World, which makes Super Poly really consistent. Like, that's why I really like it in this list. And then 3 Nib, 3 Gamma. Gamma is also a combo piece. Solitaire is very risky, but not when you play Gamma in your list, because when you attribute this card for cost, your opponent will Ash or Gamma, and you can punish them with your Gamma, and guess what? Now you get to full combo with 2 extenders, because you have Gamma plus Driver, and that already is going to get you access to Hulk, and you're still going to do whatever you wanted to do with your Unizombie. And I played 3 Unizombies as well. So Gamma has synergy. Nib is really busted. The fact that you could just activate Nib, chain like a Scarlet Sanguine, literally just to nib your opponent for free, especially when you didn't already care about like what you're gonna summon. Like let's just say like you just wanted a follow up. So what you would do is like you could just summon out like if you didn't already have access to Uni, you would summon Uni from your deck and like basically because like you're chaining, so Nib resolves as much as possible. Now Uni's engraved, so you could bring it back off of cards like White or other Sanguines, just like really amazing. So like Nib and Gamma have great synergy in this deck. And then like 3 Cursed, obviously it's a great starter. 1 Black, Black is really powerful in this deck, like extremely powerful because you can get Lord out turn 1, and this just becomes like emergency teleport. Like comparing it, like it's just a spell that can special any zombie from your deck, which is like amazing. Or your hand. Sometimes like these cards like White and Black can help you to combo through hand traps. If you open Solitaire and you zombie, you could tribute Solitaire for cost, and your opponent will like Ash or Gamma, and you don't have the Gamma at the time. You could just activate one of these, stick it out. No, you can't go into Halki Firex, but it will still allow you to set up your actual zombie plays. Because keep in mind the restriction for these cards. You know, you can't summon Hulk or generic stuff. You could just do your zombie plays now, which is still really strong. I play the Foolish. It just gives me more utility so that I can combo through combo through hand traps and negates. Like this acts as an extender pretty much at all times, or it's just whatever you need it to be in this situation. And I play Instant Fusion because I personally think that Winda just beats like combo decks so hard, so crucial. And when you have a Winda that you can like, when you can get Golden Lord out turn 1, and you have access to both White and Sanguine, you effectively can Winda your opponent twice. Because if they out it the first time, you can actually bring it back. And the reason why you could special Winda, even though she's a spellcaster, even if you have Zombie World up, and you're under the restriction of Sanguine that says you can only special summon zombies for the rest of the turn, you could still bring Winda back because of Zombie World. It makes her a zombie. So it's amazing synergy. Like Winda is so powerful in this deck. Like you could recur Winda almost as if you're playing Resh Shadal Incarnation. And then I play 3 Conks, 3 Wakeros, and 1 Forever for the lands. And then Sanguine and White are super powerful in this deck. I love a White a lot. Like it's so good. It's more flexible than Sanguine on my turn because I can actually use it. And since I play like so many zombies, it's an amazing extender. It's really, really good, especially when you're trying to go for game. Because like fortunately, it doesn't special the zombie in defense like how Black does. Like that's the only thing about Black. And I play 3 Imperm. For like hand traps, I play Nib, Gamma, and Imperm. I think these are the most high impact against combo. This is good against combo decks that play Talent, even if it doesn't like stop turns. And these just like can almost end combo when you use them correctly. So like those are the 9 hand traps. That's the main deck. So hopefully you guys are getting the understanding of what I do with my Eldritch Zombies. So like decks, things that you can do with this deck is obviously you could set up Savage, you could go for cards like Arclight, you could summon Soon Saga on your opponent's turn via Formula. You do get a couple free draws. You get to draw a Formula, and then once you have your Sucker up, when you can maintain Sucker, like it's really, really strong because you just get constant draws. That also helps you to draw into your hand trap. So like Sucker is actually really good in this deck in the fact that you can maintain a lot of your advantage off of your Eldritch cards banishing themselves and setting and drawing so many cards off Sucker. And just in case, like I'll just go ahead and get to Sucker right here if anybody doesn't understand how it works. Like one effect that could come up too is like you can tribute your opponent's monsters under Zombie World. So for example, this is something that's really cute that I want to clarify to people that might not think this way, or like maybe they just don't play Zombie Eldritch. You can use Golden Lord's effect to add, and that's another thing I forgot to mention. Golden Lord is an extender. When you use his graveyard effect to add him, you can special a zombie monster from your hand. So you could special Uni-Zombie or Solitaire, so he also lets you combo through negates and hand traps. I forgot to mention to you guys that when you play Golden Lord in a zombie deck, not just a Eldritch deck, he's way more flexible. Another cool interaction is like when you special another zombie, you can actually use Golden Lord to tribute your opponent's monsters to null summon her, because Zombie World makes all monsters on the field in the grave zombies. So Vampire Sucker is an effect that a lot of people don't use because they don't really think about it. If you would tribute a monsters for tribute summon, you could tribute a zombie monsters your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. You can only use each of the following effects of Vampire Sucker. I'll go ahead and get down to the other effect. Why isn't it letting me pick it? Oh snap. I don't know why it's not letting me click it. But Vampire Sucker other effect, I really don't like it at all. what you can do is basically reborn one of your opponent's monsters. I don't like that if you're really greedy for draws, I guess. But the best effect out of those, the last two, is the effect to draw, which is like really, really powerful. That effect's amazing, and Vampire Sucker is recurable because this is zombie. It's like, so getting down to extra deck, I'll talk about side deck later. I play Draco Necro. This card's amazing. It also allows you to deal with problematic monsters. Like, it allows you to summon out a token that's a match for something. So, like, it almost like, it's funny to talk about this card. It, like, gives your opponent a rival for their monster. So, it's like, it reminds me of, like, Gores or something. Because a token matches what it battles, which is, like, really cool. See, inherently, it outs problem cards. And this card's, like, really strong. But it's a super poly target, which is the most important thing. Then Winda. I was already talking about how strong Winda is in his deck. I have not seen any Eldritch or like actual zombie players running this, and I've seen some good zombie players on some good channels, and they just don't think this way. Then like Savage, Formula, Arc, Marcher, and Saga for the synchros. Like another cool thing that I would pull out with Arclight in this deck is I was talking about all the loots with this deck. Again, this is why Zombie World in Eldritch is really broken, because also cards like Arclight, you can bring it back off Sanguine and White and have consistent. That's why I really like playing White, because when you only have Sanguine, you're limited. Like, you guys really, like, you can knock it if you want to, but honestly, White is really, really powerful in this deck. It's actually one of my favorite Eldritch cards. You can loop Arclight because it will become a zombie once it hits the grave. Obviously, it's properly summoned, so you can bring it back off Sanguine and White, and you're consistently looping an Omni Negate Floodgate that beats a lot of decks, especially like Dinos. So like people can throw their battle phase to attack over this, then you can just bring it back from the grave. And like also, like Marcher, you know, like the fact that you can recycle it is like really, really cool. And then like access code, you don't always need this, but it's pretty important to get over like super big monsters, because your main deck's max cap is gonna be 3,500. And then we have Hulk, we have IP. IP is really strong in this deck. One of my plays besides Unicorn is I like to go into the Mayakashi. You can play Appaloosa 100%. I'm not saying don't. I'm just telling you guys, I like her better. I think she just does more against the meta. She's also easier to maintain because you can recycle her via Sanguine and White. She's easier to trigger, and she's harder to play around. She's a harder card to deal with. And she also forcibly can interrupt combos a lot more efficiently. Where with like Appaloosa is like way easier to bait, and you can attack over it. Because you normally summon Appaloosa for 3, which means they just bait 1 negate and beat over it. But with her, even if you don't want to play around her negates and you just beat over her, you can bring her back, and her effect can be activated twice per turn. She's really busted. So I like using IP to go into her, and before you make her, you trigger your Bell Draw because IP will be a zombie because of Zombie World, and you have consistent Zombie World access because you can summon Banshee from your hand or deck or grave off of White and Sanguine. So like the extra deck is like, it has a lot of utility cards. There's quite a few cards I would want to play, but I squeezed in as much as I could, and I just chose this over Oppo. This you just gotta play. It's way too good. You just can out-resource your opponent with your Eldritch cards, the residual like value you get out of zombies, and all the draws you get off of Sucker, and the fact that you do play cards that you want to draw, like the hand traps and the cards like Super Poly. The blowout card, Rivalry, is disgusting by itself. But Rivalry plus Zombie World is basically like Vanity's Emptiness once your opponent has a monster. And you can keep summoning under Rivalry with the Zombie World, because like the thing is, you can summon a card like Arclight from your grave with Rivalry and Zombie World because your monsters are still zombies in the grave. But for your opponent, they can't summon anything from their deck, from their extra deck, nothing, because they're not actually playing zombies. And you can do stuff under Rivalry because when you flip this, you already have a setup of certain cards like Winda, etc. in your graveyard already, which means they are zombies. So even under Rivalry, you can only control one type of monster. It's a zombie in the grave, and when it hits the field, it's a zombie. So the lock doesn't hurt you at all, and that's one of the most powerful locks that this deck can make. So if you guys see what I'm doing here, I'm taking the combination of combo zombies and control zombies, and I'm meshing them together to give it a better ceiling and give it the strengths that one doesn't have to cover the weaknesses that the other has. So this is almost like mid-range, but you can combo, like you can wombo combo with this deck, like super huge boards, super powerful, super broken, and all the locks are really annoying, like the Winda lock, the Yuki-Onna lock, the Herald of the Arclight lock, because you can loop it, Belladrock alone, like you just have so many win conditions, Super Poly with Zombie World, Rivalry of the Warlords lock, then I like Size Roll just for like Dragon Link and Dino, the other combo decks. Against Infernova Knights, I know I like have like the 9 hand traps, but also like a lot of my cards, unless they put Arclight up first before they start hand looping, are like really safe off of Dolphin and cards like Smoke Grenade. Like, so it's really, really cool. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I already talked about Super Poly being so good. I considered other targets, but the extra deck's so tight. That's why I side it instead of main it. If I main Super Poly, I would have to play other targets because then you would be drawing it without Zombie World. But you side it in when you know you're going first, so that way you can set up for Super Poly into Draconecro again. And then like I just play Lightning evenly for combo or back row, and Rivalry obviously is like that card. It's so good. And like games 2 and 3, you want to focus on Land Forever. Like, so you want to grab this off Cursed ASAP. Like, get this so that you can protect yourself from blowout cards. Like, you will set up Arclight, etc., but just in case your opponent tries to bait you and then hit you with an evenly, because that can really hurt. But like, given that aspect, the Eldritch cards also can play around evenly, because you could like still chain Conk, and then either pop itself or pop your Lord, and basically get your Eldritch card in the grave before the evenly. But like, just keep that hindsight. Like, games 2 and 3, try to focus more on Forever. If you have the choice to search Forever or Conk, I know like Conk can replace itself. Like, this gives you a better ceiling for their side deck cards. That's going to be the deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys learned from this. I have not seen anybody do this take on zombies, so I think this is a really refreshing approach that a lot of people will learn from, and I guarantee you there are going to be people after watching this video that will definitely want to try, even if it's not the whole thing, some of these blocks. Like, just the synergy with the zombie world that it has with these cards is amazing. And this downright by itself is just such a good card. Like, it beats certain archetypes. It's really, really good. Zombie world is an amazing floodgate. And the fact that neither player can tribute monsters except zombies is like a really, really cool aspect. Like the tribute summoning restriction, it stops cards like Spear Mode. So keep that in mind. Also, Spear Mode can't be used because of Zombie World. So like, just so many different things that this card, like, it beats by itself on top of how good this deck already is. But yeah, you guys, that's going to be it for the video. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and that's the end. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Lord Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, I pray. Amen. All right, you guys, definitely let your boy know what you think about the list. You know, you're more than welcome to try it. I think this deck is going to be so fun for you that you might end up like running like DV high rated with this deck. It's really good. Test it for yourself. You don't have to take my word. Test it for yourself. You will find that this deck is like really, really strong. Like, believe me. Peace out, you guys.